right here. Barely on the line here, and it's a little off down here. But that 16th to a 32nd gives me a little room to sand and get that right. We're going to be doing something a little different today. I have an order for some hickory shelves and a hickory mantelpiece. If y'all may have seen it in my short where I flattened and run those hickory slabs through the planer the other day. We're going to turn those slabs into 15.5-inch wide by 8-inch deep. She's gonna do daggone bug went my eye. She's gonna turn those into some hidden shelves right beside her kitchen window. They're the cabinets and the space and then the window. You'll better see that in that picture, kind of what she's going for. But with that being said, we're gonna do this all with just your run-of-the-mill tools. All I have is a skill saw, a straight edge, a tape measure, a pin, and a level for straight edge. I don't have any of those fancy tools. You can see my slab flattening table. It was built on a budget, but it works. That's kind of how I roll, I guess so to speak. Let's get that going, and I'll show you my process of getting these things square and the measurements just right. All right, so first thing what I have been doing, I'm going to use this edge right here for the live edge part. She's going to have it live edge. So to square this edge up right here, kind of just been putting my square. Kids call it a triangle. Putting that up, she needs that 8 inches. So I've been running that tape measure here. Put me a mark. Get on this side, letting that sit on it, pushing it flush, pushing up to it, making me a mark. Now that I have that mark, I'll run this straight edge across the back, and I'll mark me a line. This allows me to do two things. Square on this line, and get that as closest to the edge as I can. And then that way, on this edge right here, on your edge, you can mark it very, very little I have to take off on this corner. And what I'm doing is squaring this side with this line. Do the same thing to this side. I don't have a big, nice table saw. I don't have a track saw. I'm going to flush up the first corner, either whether it be this one or this one, and then flush up with this line. This one's flush. I have to cut about, looking at that, maybe 1/8 of an inch off. Saw blade. And I'll get my straight edge and make that line. I like making those lines because I can see what I need to do to make it square. So how I've been cutting this back line right here, and this ain't the saw I like to use because it's big and heavy. I have my other saws at my house build. But from your blade to the outside of your small side is 1 9/16 inches. And what I do is I'll come to this line I mark on the back. I will mark 1.5 inches from that line. 1.5 inches. What you doing, Madeline? And I'll mark 1.5 inches here. Then I will get this straight edge and clamp this straight edge on those marks. what this does is I'll have me a guide to run my skill saw down. And I don't like cutting directly on that line. That's why I mark it 1.5 inches. Instead of trying to get right on it, I can sand it to my line. And that'll be just right. Sand it to the line, give yourself a little playroom. I'll get you set up right there so you can see. But see that big weight I have? Just so happen to have a 50-pound kettlebell. Because like I say, I don't have any fancy equipment. I have that holding it down. It does a good job. And I'm gonna run this saw down this guide I have. Like a moose. You can see right here, barely on the line here, and it's a little off down here. But that 16th to a 32nd gives me a little room to sand and get that right. I have a little fine line I need to take off here. It's a little too much to sand. And I need to take this corner off flush. And I'll do these sides, the same way I've done this. It's the only way I know to keep everything flush and square. All right, now we have that set up. What's this big weight on there? I'm telling y'all, I'm doing this with the most basic, simple tools there are. I would love to have all that big fancy stuff. I love woodworking, but right now, it just ain't allowing me to have it. All right, that's that side. Get the other side set up real quick. I've already marked it. All right. Let's get over here and check see how square them are. You can see that right there. That is spot. Little bit of sanding to do right here down that line. Check the other side. Little tiny bit of sanding to do down this side. Everything's flush. Come out really good. No skill saw marks here. Very little here, but that can all be sanded out. That's how I'm making these shelves. I have 3 done already. I have 3 more to do. We got those few already done. I'm gonna put y'all in time lapse for time's sake and do these. Look, we got 3 more left to do. Get them knocked out, do a little sanding, show you a finished result. Y'all stick around. Let's see how it turns out. And another one bites the dust. Comes out good. All right, we have all the shelving squared up. All the sides are square. This is a live edge. That's what they wanted, live edge on this side. Now what I'm going to do is get my handy dandy orbital sander. I got 120 paper on it. We're going to do the old pencil trick. Get your pencil back and forth all the way across the board you're sanding. Of course, this being the heartwood and not spalted, it's going to be a whole lot harder to sand this than it is this. But your woodworkers already know that when you're sanding this, you watch your pencil marks. As soon as they're gone, stop sanding that spot and move to where your pencil marks still are on the wood. And what that does is keeps this wood as flat as possibly can with your hands while you're sanding it. You don't want to eat divots and dimples and all that stuff. We're going to try to keep this as flat as we can. And that is the old school pencil trick. It's been around a long time. If you have never used it, use it. It works. Let's get this wood down. Let's get the sanding. As hard as that hickory is, I think I'm going to get a little rougher paper. And there you go. She's flat. After we get these sanded, I'm going to show you one more trick that all woodworkers use to get a perfectly slick finish. Stick around and I'll show you that in a little bit. All right, now we have those all sanded. Here's this little tip to help you get a whole lot smoother finish after you have your wood sanded for the first time. That little tip is to wet the surface of your wood. So it'll give you a little preview also of what the shells are going to look like. Wet the surface of your wood. And what that does is make your wood grains absorb a little water and expand. When they expand, they're going to leave the surface kind of semi-rough. And then when you sand it back down again, they would have already made their move, so to speak. And when you put your finish on, you will have already expanded those wood fibers, so they will not do it in your finish. And if they do, it'll be to the very minimum. You can use a spray bottle with water. I do not have one at this moment. So I just got a rag, wet it, and wipe them down. That's going to be pretty. Look at that. If you do that to all these, then that will definitely help you finish, and your finished product be a whole lot smoother. I do not know what they're going to finish these with. I do know that they're probably going to put a stain on them to match their cabinets. So after I do this last sanding right here, this will be my last step before they come pick these up. Look at that. I will sand these down when they dry with probably a 120. It's about as smooth as I think I'm going to go with it. All right, we let these things sit for, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes. They're dry now, and they are rough again. I'm going to hit them real quick with some 120, and this little project right here will be done. Let's get to it. All right, we now have that little project done. I'm very pleased the way these things turned out. As you can see, they're flat, they're square, probably an inch, and 5/8 thick. They were minimum 1.5 inches. Very pleased the way they turned out. I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you may have learned a little something. Comment below. If you need to critique anything, comment below. I need to learn a few things too. I'm not an avid woodworker. I just enjoyed making these, decided to take on the task, take on the challenge. I like the way they turned out. See something I need to change? Feel free. All of us can learn a little bit of something here and there, of course, for those of us that don't know. But in this whole video, my goal was to show you you don't need all of those super expensive tools to get the job done. Sometimes it takes a little more effort, but it can be done. So, with that being said, hope y'all enjoyed it. Hope I earned your subscription. Thumbs up it, comment below, and remember, y'all come back here.